About 10 weeks ago, I was 68 days away from marrying the woman I thought I'd spend my life with. The VFW hall was booked solid. The caterer had dropped off the final headcount forms that were sitting right there on our kitchen table next to my toolbox. The DJ was locked in, and I'd spent most of that evening after my shift comparing fishing spots in Michigan for our honeymoon. I wasn't stressed about the wedding at all. Hell, I was looking forward to it. Sierra and I had been together since we met at Logan's birthday party 5 years back. I genuinely thought we had something rock solid, the kind of foundation you could build a real life on. She knew my work schedule at the plant, understood why I picked up overtime when the lines were running hot, never complained when I came home with grease under my fingernails and that metallic smell of the shop clinging to my clothes. That particular evening, I was stretched out on our secondhand couch with my laptop balanced on my knees, checking out different lakes and trying to figure out which ones had the best bass fishing. The plant had been running double shifts all month, and I was ready for some serious downtime with a rod and reel. Sierra was curled up on the other end, flipping through one of those thick wedding magazines she'd been obsessing over, the kind with more pages than a phone book and twice as expensive. We'd gotten into a decent rhythm with the wedding planning by then. Most of the big decisions were locked down, and we were just handling the final details. Nothing too fancy. We weren't trying to impress anybody, just wanted a good party with people we actually gave a damn about. The VFW hall had that authentic working class vibe, the kind of place where you could actually relax and not worry about using the wrong fork. The quiet between us felt normal, comfortable, the kind of silence that happens when two people are used to sharing the same space without needing to fill every second with chatter. Our neighbor's TV was bleeding through the thin apartment walls, some sitcom laugh track mixing with the distant hum of traffic on Route 6. Or at least that's what I figured, until I looked up from my screen and actually paid attention to her. Something was definitely off. Her thumb was drumming this anxious, jittery beat against the glossy magazine page, like she was tapping out Morse code for "help me." Her jaw looked tight, set in that way that told me she was grinding her teeth again, something she only did when she was really chewing on a problem. She wasn't actually reading the damn thing either. She was staring at it like it might burst into flames, but her eyes weren't moving across the text. She was working something out in her head, building up the nerve to say whatever was eating at her. I closed the laptop and told her she seemed quiet tonight. The sound of my voice in the apartment made her actually jump, like I'd caught her shoplifting or going through my wallet. She said she was just tired, that all the wedding planning was wearing her out. Made sense. Between her job at the medical office and finishing up her business degree, she'd been running pretty thin lately. I tried to lighten things up, made some joke about whether we really needed the chocolate fountain or if we should ditch it to save a few bucks. We'd been tracking every expense like accountants, making sure we didn't blow our 12 grand budget on stuff that didn't matter. The chocolate fountain had been her idea, but honestly, it felt like throwing money at something nobody would remember a week later. She didn't even crack a smile. Instead, she slammed the magazine shut with this sharp snap that made me flinch, the sound echoing off our bare walls like a gunshot. Then she said, we needed to talk about the wedding, about us, about fundamental things that weren't working. The words hit me like a wrench to the gut. You know that feeling when you're working on live electrical and you grab the wrong wire? That split second when your whole nervous system lights up and suddenly you're not sure if you're going to be standing or flat on your back? That was it, right there in our living room, with the laugh track still bleeding through the walls. My stomach dropped like I'd missed a step going down into the plant's basement. The fishing website was still open on my laptop screen, showing these peaceful lake shots that suddenly felt like they belonged to someone else's life. I asked if something was wrong with the money situation, if we'd gone over budget somewhere without realizing it. Wedding costs had been creeping up despite our best efforts to keep things reasonable. Even with the VFW hall and doing a lot of the setup ourselves, 12 grand was still a serious chunk of change for people like us. I thought maybe the reality of dropping that much cash had finally hit her all at once, the way it sometimes does when you see all the numbers, added up on one page. She cut me off and said, no, it wasn't about money at all. It was foundational, she said. That specific word stuck with me because it sounded so damn clinical, like she was diagnosing a problem with our apartment's wiring instead of talking about our relationship. It was the kind of word you'd use in one of her business classes, not the kind of thing you'd say to someone you were supposed to love. I told her our foundation was solid as concrete. We loved each other, wanted to build something together, had weathered 5 years of regular couple stuff without any major disasters. What could be more foundational than that? We weren't perfect, but we worked. We fit together like components in a well-designed circuit, each of us handling what we were good at, covering for each other when things got tough. That's when she really laid it out for me. She said she had serious doubts about us. Deep, fundamental doubts that kept her awake at night, staring at the ceiling while I slept like a rock next to her. She explained that I was the only real relationship she'd ever been in, that we'd gotten together when we were both young and had been together continuously since then. She'd never dated anyone else, never experienced being with other people, never explored what else might be out there in the world. What if she was settling for me without even knowing it? What if there was someone out there who was a better match, more compatible, and she just didn't realize it because she had nothing to compare me to? The questions were eating at her, she said, keeping her up nights and making her question everything we'd built together. She needed to experience other men, she explained in this carefully measured tone, like she was presenting a business proposal. Date around, be with other people, gain that experiential certainty that I was really the right choice. Otherwise, she'd always wonder. She'd walk into our marriage with this nagging doubt in the back of her mind, and that wouldn't be fair to either of us. I felt like someone had sucker punched me in the chest with a pipe wrench, but I managed to ask if she was saying she wanted to break up. The words came out rougher than I intended, like I'd been breathing sawdust all day at the plant. She said no, not exactly. She didn't want to break up permanently. She wanted to press pause on our relationship, put it in some kind of holding pattern while she went out and had her experiences. I would wait for her while she explored her options. She'd date other people, see what was available out there, live a little, and then if she decided I was still the best fit after shopping around, we'd move forward with the wedding. She made it sound like this would actually make our marriage stronger because she'd be choosing me from a place of real, informed certainty instead of just defaulting to me out of fear or habit. Like I was a reliable pickup truck she wanted to keep. Driving, but first she needed to test drive a few sports cars to make sure she wasn't missing out on something better. Then she delivered the final kick in the teeth, her voice getting all soft and sympathetic, like she was breaking bad news to a child whose dog had just died. If I didn't agree to this arrangement, the wedding was off. She couldn't commit to marriage with this kind of uncertainty hanging over her head like a storm cloud. Didn't I want her to be sure? Didn't I want a wife who was completely, irrevocably certain that I was her person? If I really loved her, she said, I'd understand that this was actually for us, for our future together. The logic was bulletproof in that particular female way that makes you feel crazy for even questioning it. She'd wrapped this monumentally selfish demand in the language of relationship improvement and mutual benefit. Like she was doing me a favor by letting me know I might not measure up to the competition. I sat there, staring at her, at this woman I'd been planning an entire life with, whose family I'd sat through countless awkward holiday dinners with, nodding politely while her uncle ranted about whatever was pissing him off that month, whose dreams and worries I'd listened to for 5 solid years, whose terrible taste in indie music I'd learned to tolerate. The person sitting across from me looked like Sierra, but she wasn't the Sierra I thought I knew. This was a complete stranger wearing her face and speaking in a language of pure selfishness I'd never heard from her before. The kind of casual cruelty that treats another person's heart like a subscription service you can cancel at any time. The love I'd felt didn't disappear in that moment, but it did something worse. It curdled, hardening into something cold and heavy sitting in my chest like a chunk of scrap metal from the plant floor. The woman I'd fallen for had either never existed or had been so carefully hidden that I'd never gotten a glimpse of the real person underneath. I needed absolute clarity before I responded. I needed to hear her say it in the plainest possible terms so there could be no misunderstanding later. No room for her to claim I'd twisted her words or taken things out of context. When I finally spoke, my voice came out unnaturally calm and flat, like I was reading safety instructions off a piece of equipment. I asked her to let me make sure I understood correctly. She was formally requesting that I put my life, my heart, and my dignity on indefinite hold while she went out and slept with other men. This field research would determine whether my value was high enough to ultimately earn the privilege of being her husband. Was that an accurate summary of her proposal? Her face flushed red with irritation. like I'd just insulted her intelligence instead of repeating back exactly what she'd told me. She said I was twisting her words, making it sound cheap and transactional when it was really about emotional and experiential verification. It was about knowing for certain, being able to commit without doubt, making sure she could give me her whole heart without reservation. The words were pretty, but the math was ugly. She wanted to keep me on layaway while she comparison shopped. I cut her off and asked again, completely direct this time, no room for fancy language or emotional cushioning. Is that what you're asking me to do? She crossed her arms defensively, her jaw setting in that stubborn line I recognized from every argument we'd ever had about money, or her family, or whose turn it was to take out the trash. Her features hardened with defiance, and she said yes. Yes, that was exactly what she needed from us. There was this long moment where the only sound was our refrigerator humming in the kitchen and some neighbor's TV bleeding through the walls, a commercial for car insurance or breakfast cereal or something equally meaningless. I looked at the woman on my couch, at that engagement ring sparkling on her finger under our cheap apartment lighting. The ring I'd spent 8 months carefully saving for, working extra shifts and skipping lunches to afford, researching settings and stones like I was planning a military operation. I saw the complete conviction in her eyes and the total lack of awareness that she'd just detonated a nuclear bomb right in the center of everything we'd built together over 5 years. She genuinely believed this wasn't just reasonable, but actually brave and honest. She thought she was being courageous, facing her fears head on instead of just hoping for the best. In her mind, she was the hero of this story, taking the difficult but necessary steps to ensure our future happiness. The complete lack of awareness was almost impressive in its scope. The future I'd envisioned dissolved right there like morning mist. The house we'd talked about buying in a few years when I made supervisor, the kids we'd discussed having once we were more financially stable, the quiet decades of growing old together. All of it just evaporated like steam from the plant's cooling towers. All that remained was the stark truth about who this person actually was underneath the 5 years of shared routines and comfortable assumptions. I nodded slowly and said, "Okay." That single word hung in the air between us like smoke from a bad electrical fire. Relief flooded across her face immediately, washing away all the tension and anxiety that had been building up. Her shoulders relaxed, and this sweet, victorious smile spread across her features like she'd just won the lottery. She'd gotten what she wanted. She'd won the negotiation. She started to uncurl herself from her end of the couch, moving toward me with her arms opening for a hug, probably expecting some kind of grateful embrace for her honesty and courage. I stood up before she could reach me, stepping back just enough that her arms closed, on empty air. She looked confused for a second, like a piece of equipment that had just malfunctioned. I told her I was tired and would sleep in the guest room that night. The words came out flat and practical, like I was announcing a shift change at the plant. She said, "Okay, that was fine. We could talk about the details and logistics in the morning, figure out the timeline and ground rules for her experiment." She told me she loved me, the words automatic and hollow as an empty beer can. I didn't respond. I just walked down the hall, went into the guest room, and shut the door behind me with a soft but final click. That okay I'd given her wasn't agreement to her plan. It wasn't consent to wait around like some backup generator while she shopped the market for a better power source. It was acceptance of an entirely different reality. I was accepting that we were done, that the relationship was over, that the woman I'd planned to marry didn't actually exist, and probably never had. I didn't sleep at all that night. I lay there in the dark guest room on a bed that smelled like the storage unit we'd kept it in, staring at the digital clock on the nightstand and watching the red numbers bleed from one to the next like a countdown timer. The initial shock was crystallizing into something else, hardening into this cold, absolute certainty that felt as solid as the steel beams holding up the plant. There would be no conversation in the morning. There was nothing left to negotiate or discuss. Her proposal wasn't a request for compromise or a difficult conversation between two people who loved each other. It was a statement of exactly what I was worth to her. My value was conditional, subject to market testing and comparison shopping. I needed to beat out the competition to earn the privilege of being her husband. As the first gray light started filtering through the blinds, I began to move with the kind of methodical precision I used when working on complex electrical systems. Every action deliberate, Every step planned, 3 moves ahead. I started by turning my phone to silent mode, not off, but muted so I could control when and how I dealt with communications. Got dressed in my work clothes, jeans and a plain shirt, steel-toed boots. The kind of outfit you wear when you have serious business to handle and don't want to worry about getting dirty. I packed a single duffel bag with just the essentials. A week's worth of clothes, my toiletries, passport, and the important documents I kept in our fireproof lockbox under the bed. Birth certificate, social security card, the deed to my truck, my union membership papers, the things you need to prove you exist in the world. I took only what was unquestionably mine, leaving behind anything that held memories of us together. That Carhartt jacket she'd given me for Christmas stayed hanging in the closet. The toolbox we'd bought together for the apartment remained on the kitchen counter where she'd left the catering forms. I worked with surgical precision, removing myself from the shared life we'd built, without leaving any loose ends or emotional landmines. My first call was placed at exactly 8 in the morning, the minute I knew Crystal at the VFW hall would be unlocking her office for the day. I'd dealt with her for months, setting up our reception, working out details about table arrangements and bar service, and whether we needed to rent extra chairs. She was a good woman who genuinely cared about making people's special days perfect. When she answered with her usual cheerful greeting, I told her I needed to cancel our reservation for October 12th immediately. Complete cancellation, not a postponement. She made this sympathetic noise and asked if everything was okay, whether we wanted to discuss rescheduling for a different date instead. Maybe something had come up with work schedules or family availability. I said no, this was permanent. Then I lied smooth as silk. Family emergency. Had to relocate out of state for work. She said she understood completely. These things happen. They'd send the formal cancellation confirmation via email, and we'd forfeit our deposit as per the contract. I said that was perfectly fine, and thanked her for all her help. The deposit was $800 down the drain, but money was just numbers on a screen at that point. My freedom from this entire situation was worth every penny and then some. One by one, I systematically dismantled every piece of the future we'd constructed together, like I was decommissioning a piece of industrial equipment. The caterer who'd spent hours working out a menu that would satisfy both our families. The DJ who'd collected our playlist of must-play songs and absolutely never play songs. The photographer who'd scouted locations and planned shot lists. Each call followed the same script. Polite, firm, final, emotionless. Same fabricated family emergency every time, same sincere apologies for the short notice. I accepted every financial penalty without argument or negotiation, treating each lost deposit like the cost of doing business when you're extracting yourself from a bad contract. The engagement ring was my final stop. I drove to Kowalski's Jewelry, the same family-owned shop where I'd spent weeks researching settings and stone quality 8 months earlier. The same older Polish guy who'd helped me pick it out, whose eyes had lit up when I told him about my proposal plans, now looked at me with the kind of pity you reserve for roadkill. He asked quietly if everything was all right, his accent still thick after 40 years in Cleveland. I said the engagement was off and asked about his return policy. He processed the return in complete silence, his weathered hands gentle with the small velvet box like it might break. When he handed me the receipt for a fraction of what I'd originally paid, he said softly that I'd find the right person eventually, that these things happen for a reason. I looked him straight in the eye and said I believed I'd just avoided the wrong one. The look that crossed his face told me he'd seen this movie before, probably more times than he cared to remember. Back at the apartment, the silence was thick and heavy as motor oil. Sierra was either still asleep or pretending to be. I didn't know which and didn't particularly care. I finished packing my personal belongings with the same methodical approach I used for complex wiring jobs. My books, my laptop, the small toolbox that had been mine before we moved in together, the few family photos that were actually mine. I deliberately left behind all the pictures of us together, the throw blankets we'd picked out at Target, the complete set of dishes we'd gotten as engagement gifts from her aunt. I wanted no reminders, no emotional ties to this place or this chapter of my life. Clean break, no loose wires to short out later. As I was loading the last box into my truck, this memory hit me like touching a live wire. The night I'd proposed to her, right there on the pier overlooking Lake Erie. Nothing particularly original, but it was her favorite spot because we'd had our first real date at the restaurant nearby. She'd cried with happiness, made this breathless, joyful sound, and thrown her arms around my neck while whispering, "Yes, yes, yes," over and over in my ear. The ring had caught the light from the pier lamps, and that night I'd felt this rock-solid certainty that I'd found my person, the one I'd be growing old with. The cruelty of what she was asking now struck me fresh. That night on the pier, I realized I'd been proposing to someone who didn't actually exist, a carefully constructed version designed to keep me invested while she figured out what she really wanted. I left my apartment key on the kitchen counter, placed deliberately on top of those catering forms like a final signature on divorce papers, full circle. I closed the door for the last time and heard the soft, definitive click of the lock catching. I didn't look back, didn't take one last, nostalgic glance around the place we'd shared for 3 years. My new place was a month-to-month furnished efficiency I'd found online, one of those corporate rental units downtown that catered to people in transition. It smelled like industrial cleaning products and had the personality of a waiting room, but it was mine and mine alone. I set my duffel bag down on the bare hardwood floor and just stood there for a moment. The emptiness was actually a relief, like stepping into a clean workshop where you could start a project from scratch without having to work around someone else's mess. That's when my phone started having what I can only describe as a mechanical seizure, buzzing and vibrating across the kitchenette counter like it was possessed. Sierra's number lighting up the screen. I stood there and watched. It danced across the Formica surface until it finally stopped. A minute later, it started up again with the same frantic energy. I didn't touch it, didn't even move toward it. When it finally went quiet, a voicemail notification appeared like a warning light on a dashboard. I poured myself a slow glass of water from the tap, sat down on the uncomfortable couch that came with the place, took a deliberate sip. Only then, when I was completely ready and in control of the situation, did I play the message. Her voice filled the small, sterile room, compressed and tinny through the phone speaker, thick with confusion that was already beginning to curdle into real panic. She said she'd just gotten home from her first coffee meeting, interesting how she couldn't even call it a date, and wanted to know where I was. Some of my stuff was missing from the apartment. Had I gone to my mom's place? She'd tried calling multiple times, but it kept going straight to voicemail, which was weird because I always answered when she called. She needed to talk about how the coffee meeting had gone, needed to process it with me. Then she said the date went fine. Actually used the word date this time, not coffee meeting or getting to know someone. Kind of awkward to talk about, she said, but she really needed to hear my voice. Could I please just call her back as soon as I got this message? There was a pause, a shaky breath that sounded like she was trying not to cry, and then she said she loved me and hung up. There it was. Confirmation of everything I'd suspected. The date went fine. She'd actually done it. She'd gone out with another man the very morning after delivering her ultimatum to me, probably while I was on the phone with Crystal canceling our wedding venue. While I'd been methodically dismantling our entire future and packing my life into boxes, she'd been sitting across from some stranger at a Starbucks somewhere, conducting her market research. Any lingering doubt I might have harbored evaporated completely in that moment, like steam from overheated equipment. I deleted the voicemail immediately without saving it. Then I went into my phone settings and blocked her number entirely, treating it like disconnecting a faulty circuit that might cause problems later. I sent exactly 2 text messages, one to my parents saying the wedding was off, Sierra and I were done, I was safe and okay, but didn't want to discuss details right now. The second was to Logan, telling him I'd called off the wedding. It was completely finished, didn't need to talk yet, but didn't want him hearing it through the plant gossip network. His reply came back almost instantly, asking if I was okay and saying his couch was mine if I needed it. I thanked him and said I was good, then turned my phone completely off. The silence in that efficiency apartment was total and deep, and for the first time in years, it was entirely my own. The weeks that followed were defined by silence so profound it had actual weight and texture, not empty quiet, but active, chosen stillness. I didn't turn on the TV, left my phone as a dark, inert object on the counter. The only sounds were the mini fridge humming, water running in the shower, the scrape of a knife on toast in the morning. All the sleep I'd missed that first night caught up with me in these heavy, dreamless waves. I'd crash for 10 or 12 hours at a time, wake up completely disoriented, make coffee while staring at the brick wall of the building across the narrow alley between downtown buildings. The grief that came was the strangest I'd ever experienced. I wasn't mourning Sierra, not the real person who'd made that monstrous demand. I was mourning the ghost she'd eliminated, the version of her I'd believed in for 5 years. It felt exactly like grieving a fictional character who'd been given a terrible, abrupt ending. But then something shifted. The unfairness would rise in my throat sometimes, bitter as burnt coffee. But I started asking better questions. Not, why wasn't I enough? But, why did I think her approval was the measure of my worth? The second question had better answers. I started building something new, found a running route along the industrial canal that wound through downtown, past the old steel mills and shipping yards. At first, my lungs burned and my legs felt heavy, protesting months of sedentary wedding planning, but I kept pushing through. The rhythm of my boots hitting cracked pavement became this kind of moving meditation. I wasn't running away from anything anymore. I was running toward a version of myself I'd completely neglected, the one whose energy and attention wasn't constantly spent managing someone else's emotional calculations. At the plant, something clicked into place like a circuit completing. There was this efficiency improvement project I'd been half-heartedly developing for months, completely sidelined. Because all my mental energy had been going toward wedding logistics and keeping Sierra happy. Suddenly, I had all this focus and clarity to pour into it. I dove deep into the electrical systems, found ways to reduce power waste and improve throughput that nobody had thought of before. My supervisor Mike noticed the change immediately, pulled me aside and said this was the sharpest work he'd seen from me since I'd started 6 years ago. The promotion to shift supervisor that had seemed like a distant, maybe suddenly felt inevitable. After about a month of this new routine, curiosity finally got the better of me. Not emotional curiosity or longing, but cold clinical interest in what had been happening on the other side of the wall I'd built. One evening, I unblocked Sierra's number just to see what debris had piled up. The phone immediately convulsed with notifications. Dozens of texts, pages of missed calls, voicemail alerts stacking up like incident reports. I didn't open anything right away, just watch them populate my screen like a digital monument to the consequences of her own choices. Later, I read through everything with detached interest, like studying equipment failure reports. Stage 1, confusion and anger. Stage 2, panic and bargaining, claiming her research had failed spectacularly. Stage 3, pure desperation, promising the experiment was over. She'd chosen me, the wedding could be back on. The pattern was so predictable, it was almost boring. My market research yielded disappointing results. Please resume your position as my backup plan. Then came the call from her sister Paige, demanding I stop the silent treatment and act mature. When I calmly explained that Sierra had issued an ultimatum and I'd simply accepted the terms, she called me dramatic and ego-driven. I ended the call and blocked her number 2. The final voicemail came at 1:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. Sierra's voice raw with venom, calling me an arrogant, self-righteous bastard. She was furious I couldn't handle a strong woman, claiming I'd die alone while she had endless options. I was always just the safe, boring backup plan anyway. I saved that message as a bookmark, then blocked her permanently. Several months later, at the community center fish fry Logan dragged me to, I saw her across the room. She looked diminished, worn down by her failed experiment. When she approached, desperate to reconcile, I gave her complete clarity. There's nothing to forgive, Sierra. Your request was actually a gift. It showed me exactly what our marriage would have been like, a perpetual audition. I explained that I'd found the certainty she'd been seeking, but I'd found it within myself. The certainty that I'd never again tie my worth to someone else's validation. When she insisted she was completely sure now, I nodded calmly. I believe you are certain, and it doesn't matter. My certainty is the only one that governs my life now. The understanding crashed over her like cold water. She was finally certain, but her certainty had arrived at a door that was welded permanently shut. She was holding a key to a room that had been demolished months ago. As I walked away, I realized the peace I'd built wasn't just surrounding me anymore. It had become integrated into who I was at my core. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do isn't fighting back or getting even. Sometimes it's simply refusing to participate in someone else's game, where your value is treated like a commodity to be comparison shopped. The real victory isn't proving you're worthy of someone who questions your worth. It's discovering you don't need their validation at all.